Hello, today I'll be taking a look at a kind of a unique product on the marketplace, which is the Machina Fractals Essence. These are runtime fractals. Currently one of the showcase assets, and the one I'm reviewing is version 3, and the folder size is about 3 gigabytes. Normally goes for around 70 USD. And the same author have another product about different set of fractals called Mecha. Starting from one of the levels, we can see that there is some error in rendering when you move around, and to fix it you have to go to project setting and type output velocity and turn it off. So when you move around, it doesn't have that artifact. And if you're wondering what a fractal is, basically it's a repeating pattern. The more you zoom in, the same pattern gets repeated. You can look at the detailed lighting view mode. And then lightning only view mode, we see just one plane because this is controlled by one plane mesh, and all the work is done through the shader using mold position offset. Now there is a cinematic camera in each of the level you can use, and each fractal is using a blueprint already made with the settings. We got the bound scale and this man bulb power for this type of fractal. And you can see the FPS on the right because this is somewhat heavy. I'm using RTX 3060 Ti. More iterations mean more performance cost but have better looks. One nice thing is that when you hover over the variables, for most of them there is a tooltip that's written what it does and the effects it has on performance. The epsilon, I think, is one of the main variables that have that affect performance, as you can see on the top right. And we have multiple ways to determine the color. One of them is through the PBR texture. You can change the texture, and you can see it changes with it. I don't know, for some reason the normal I cannot see that much of an effect of the normal. You can also change the scale, but because of the lightning of this map, it's not that uh, how can I say, it's not that optimal to do so. Getting back to the variables, you can affect the color through this parameter of the texture scale, rotation, and offset. There's another set of texture that also affects it. So I think using this one kind of affects normal, but in just a little bit. We change this normal parameters. You can also use hue shift, saturation, contrast, brightness, specular, metallic, and roughness. Now these RGB won't do anything because of the first enum that we used. We have to change to colors and then tab effects. Let's put a color on each of the vector 3 parameters. You can somewhat control it using the gradient midpoint. Also RGB hue shift. So basically lots of parameters ready. Got also the orbit trap. And you can also control the emissive. It's pretty nice. This looks like something out of sci-fi and just gorgeous. Mind you, these are procedurally made for most part, but still there's this thing about fractals that just attracts you towards it. I think this color just like applies emissive to all of the parts and not just a specific one. But still, I very like it. You can also enable the macro variations. This might be more visible when you scale the thing up. Looking at the other one, the box brought light. Let's decrease the fog density. I mean, that thing is barely visible with so much fog. Let's scale this one up. And this is what I meant by repeating pattern. The more you go in, you can see that the pattern repeats, I think, towards infinity. Like I said, it has this alien look to it, to all of the fractals. And also these all do have blueprint parameters. And the difference from one to another would be there are some parameters that are specific to that fractal itself. I mean, imagine the amount of things you can do with this. There is also this Julia mode. I don't understand that much. To be honest, I don't understand about fractals that much. Only basic understanding. Our third one. This looks like a maze, but the emissive is strong with this one. Already scaled up. I cannot see the inside. And this is the other one. I remember I tinkered with this one, and when you change the color, this becomes very beautiful. It may not be apparent here. This one, I you have to scale it up so much and go inside for it to appear. Are not that visible. Maybe the iteration is low and the scale is not that high. For this one, we got the Menger scale. Our next fractal. This this is different from the other one. This looks like an electronic board when zoomed in. That's the vibe it gives. It's off. Our next one is this one. This looks like some sort of bug. with many tentacles or legs. This is sort of like the first one, but like a bit different. This one, wow, the frame rate is terrible with this one. Yep, this is not bearable. Yeah, let's go to the first one and look at the folder structure. So first we got the maps, we looked at them. The blueprints already set up. You can just drag them to the level like this one and change the parameters to your liking. And then we got the enumerations, functions, material functions, and Houdini files. If you have Houdini, when you go to the Explorer, you can see that the files are there, but because I do not have it installed currently, it's not showing. It's used to bake the shape into static mesh, which might be a good choice. These are the materials. Just to basically look at one, or as an overview, you can see the parameters and all of it go into this function that I think is all like a custom HLSL node inside. I haven't looked into this one, but the previous versions were like that. The mesh is just one plane. I think there's not much vertices, but the only thing that's special about it, I think, is the bounds. It's extended a lot, and I think you can use the bounds as a cutoff. Textures, we got a lot of textures. Many different shapes that enhance that alienish look for most of them, along with some noise. And dimensions are 18K, 65 4K, 352K, 1K, 38 512, and 4256. You can animate the parameters using sequencer. First, let's make a sequence. So you click the actor and go to track, actor to add. And the way the author wanted or showed how it's done, basically add the component, which is the static mesh, and then add the material, and then you change the parameters like this. For example, I don't know, what should we change? The loop. Okay, we'll change the value and keyframe it at that time so you can see it animates as it should. Then you can also add the other parameters and change it. But you can also do this. When you go to the blueprint, select one of the variables and then expose to cinematics. And now you should be able to add it directly. Let's keyframe that. And you can see that it does nothing. That's because we have to go to class setting and tick the run construction in sequencer. So overall, I think this was like an overview rather than a review because of the nature of the product. And I gotta admit, it is very unique. Although for it to be used in games, it's very questionable. However, when you change it to a mesh using Houdini, and as far as I know, you cannot do that using the modeling tools because they cannot access GPU or something of that sort. So you cannot change it to static mesh using the built-in modeling tools. at least for now, or maybe there are other workarounds that would enable you to do so. But for now, the most consistent way would be to use Houdini. And thanks to Nanite, that's a very viable choice because you don't have to worry about the amount of vertices when it's baked to static mesh. Hope you enjoyed and have a great day.